Picture yourself waking up at 5 a.m. to the sound of the morning call to prayer echoing across Jakarta's concrete jungle. Outside your window, millions of motorcycles begin their daily dance through traffic that makes New York rush hour look like a Sunday drive. Across this massive archipelago, a fisherman in Raja Ampat pulls in nets filled with coral trout worth more per pound than his monthly salary. While in Yogyakarta, a university student pays 50 cents for breakfast that would cost $15 in any Western city. This is Indonesia, a country that shatters every assumption about Southeast Asian living costs, cultural expectations, and what it really means to survive on a shoestring budget. Most people think they understand Indonesia through Bali Instagram posts and backpacker blogs, but the truth about living here on just $500 monthly tells a completely different story. What if I told you that this amount could either provide a comfortable middle-class lifestyle or leave you struggling to afford basic necessities, depending entirely on choices most foreigners never consider? What if the difference between thriving and barely surviving comes down to understanding cultural nuances that no guidebook ever explains properly? You're about to experience the unfiltered reality of life across 17,000 islands, where ancient traditions collide with modern aspirations, where your grocery budget determines not just what you eat, but how locals perceive and treat you, and where $500 can either unlock incredible opportunities or trap you in expensive tourist bubbles. But first, let's establish the sheer magnitude of what we're dealing with. Indonesia isn't just another Southeast Asian country, it's a continent-sized nation disguised as an archipelago. Stretch these islands across North America, and they'd reach from Alaska to Mexico. We're talking about a country with 3 time zones, 270 million people, and geographic diversity that ranges from snow-capped mountains in Papua to coral atolls that barely rise above sea level. This geographic complexity directly impacts your cost of living in ways most expatriates never anticipate. A simple meal in rural central Java costs $1, while the identical dish in touristy Ubud runs $8. Transportation between islands can consume your entire monthly budget, or cost practically nothing if you know which ferries locals actually use. Understanding these geographic economics becomes the difference between financial freedom and constant money stress. The numbers that define Indonesia boggle the mind. As the world's 4th most populous country, it houses more people than the entire United States while maintaining cultural diversity that makes Europe look homogeneous. Over 300 ethnic groups speak more than 700 different languages, creating a social mosaic where your neighbor might follow completely different customs, dietary restrictions, and social expectations than the family living next door. This cultural complexity creates both opportunities and challenges for budget-conscious foreigners. In Muslim-majority areas, alcohol taxes make beer cost more than a full meal. But communal breaking of fast during Ramadan provides free dinner invitations that stretch your food budget significantly. Hindu Bali operates under different economic rules entirely, where temple ceremonies create regular festivals with free food and entertainment, but tourist infrastructure inflates basic living costs dramatically. Indonesia's official motto, Bhinneka Tunggal Ika, unity in diversity, isn't just political rhetoric painted on government buildings. It represents the daily reality of navigating a nation where Islamic traditions blend with ancient Javanese mysticism, Hindu ceremonies, Christian celebrations, and animist beliefs that predate organized religion by thousands of years. The economic implications of this diversity extend far beyond tourist attractions and cultural festivals. In predominantly Muslim areas, halal certification requirements create business opportunities for entrepreneurs who understand religious dietary laws. Christian regions often maintain different working schedules around Sunday worship services. Hindu areas organize community activities around temple festivals that affect everything from transportation availability to market operating hours. Understanding these religious and cultural patterns allows smart expatriates to time their activities, purchases and travel plans around community rhythms rather than fighting against them. Shopping during prayer times often means empty markets and better prices. Traveling during religious holidays costs more but provides authentic cultural experiences that money can't buy during normal periods. Java forms the backbone of Indonesian civilization, cramming 145 million people into an area smaller than Florida. Jakarta, the sprawling capital, showcases both the country's incredible ambitions and its persistent contradictions. Glass towers housing multinational corporations rise directly above kampongs, urban villages where extended families have lived for generations in houses built from whatever materials they could afford. The contrast between rich and poor in Jakarta isn't just visible, it's inescapable. Billionaires in imported luxury cars sit in the same traffic jams as street vendors pushing wooden carts loaded with everything from fresh fruit to mobile phone accessories. This proximity creates opportunities for budget-conscious foreigners willing to learn from Indonesian survival strategies rather than maintaining expensive Western habits. But step outside Jakarta's metropolitan bubble, and Indonesia transforms completely. Yogyakarta, the cultural heart of central Java, operates at a completely different pace and price point. University students fill coffee shops discussing philosophy and politics over cups that cost 30 cents, while master craftsmen still create intricate batik patterns using techniques passed down through family lines for centuries. The cost differential between Jakarta and secondary cities often surprises newcomers. A decent apartment that costs $400 monthly in Jakarta is acceptable neighborhoods rents for $150 in Yogyakarta is best areas. Restaurant meals that run $8 to $12 in Jakarta's trendy districts cost $2 to $3 for identical quality in smaller cities. Rural Indonesia operates according to economic principles that confuse outsiders accustomed to pure monetary transactions. In villages across Sumatra, Sulawesi, and eastern Indonesia, community cooperation often matters more than individual wealth accumulation. Neighbors automatically help build houses, share harvests, and care for each other's children without expecting monetary compensation. This social safety net can extend your $500 budget far beyond what pure mathematics would suggest, but only for foreigners who invest time and effort into building genuine community relationships. Learning basic Indonesian language skills, participating in community activities, and showing consistent respect for local customs opens doors that money alone cannot purchase. Traditional markets remain the economic heart of Indonesian commerce, and mastering market dynamics becomes essential for budget survival. In Denpasar's Kumbasari market, vendors arrange colorful displays of exotic spices, tropical fruits, and fresh seafood across wooden stalls that have operated in the same locations for decades. The sensory overload hits immediately. Durian fruit competing with clove cigarette smoke, sizzling satay mixing with motorcycle exhaust, and the constant chatter of haggling in multiple languages. Successful bargaining requires understanding cultural psychology rather than simple price negotiation. Indonesian vendors expect foreign customers to haggle, but they also expect respect, patience, and good humor during the process. Aggressive bargaining tactics that work in other countries often backfire here, resulting in higher final prices and damaged relationships with vendors you'll need to deal with regularly. The modern side of Indonesian commerce operates simultaneously alongside these traditional systems. Shopping malls in Jakarta rival anything in Singapore or Hong Kong, complete with ice skating rinks, luxury brand boutiques, and food courts serving cuisine from around the world. The growing middle class increasingly shops at air-conditioned hypermarkets, uses food delivery applications, and sends their children to international schools. This economic duality creates unique opportunities for expatriates willing to blend traditional and modern approaches to daily life. Shopping at traditional markets for fresh ingredients while using modern cooking techniques and appliances. Learning traditional transportation methods while using smartphone applications to navigate efficiently. participating in traditional community activities while maintaining modern communication with family and business contacts abroad. Indonesian food culture deserves recognition as one of the world's most complex and flavorful culinary traditions, built on thousands of years of spice trading and cultural exchange between indigenous peoples, Chinese immigrants, Arab traders, and European colonizers. Every region proudly claims to produce the best version of national dishes like nasi goreng, fried rice, and they're probably all correct since each area adds unique local ingredients and preparation techniques. Rendang, the slow-cooked beef curry from West Sumatra, requires 12 hours of careful preparation to achieve the proper texture and flavor complexity. Street vendors serve authentic rendang for $2 to $3, while upscale restaurants in Jakarta charge $15 to $20 for essentially identical dishes. The difference lies entirely in presentation, location, and air conditioning, rather than actual food quality or taste. Sambal, chili sauce, appears with virtually every Indonesian meal from breakfast through late-night snacks. Each region maintains its own traditional recipes, from the tomato-based sambal of North Sulawesi to the raw chili sambal of West Sumatra that can induce tears in unprepared foreigners. Learning to appreciate and handle Indonesian spice levels earns respect from locals and opens access to authentic dining experiences unavailable to spice-sensitive tourists. Coffee culture in Indonesia extends far beyond expensive tourist cafes serving overpriced international brands. Indonesia produces some of the world's finest coffee beans, yet most Indonesians drink kopi tubruk, coarsely ground coffee mixed directly with hot water and palm sugar. A cup costs 25 cents at roadside warungs and delivers more caffeine than any fancy espresso preparation. The infamous kopi luwak, coffee made from beans processed through civet cat digestive systems, exists primarily as a tourist marketing gimmick. Most Indonesians consider it an expensive novelty rather than superior coffee. Local coffee varieties like Toraja, Mandailing, and Java offer exceptional quality at fraction of international prices, assuming you know where locals actually buy their beans. Street food culture provides both incredible value and authentic cultural immersion for budget-conscious expatriates. Gado-gado vendors push colorful wooden carts through residential neighborhoods, serving mixed vegetables with peanut sauce that provides complete nutrition for under $2. Soto ayam, chicken soup, varies dramatically from region to region, with each area claiming their preparation cures everything from common colds to broken hearts. Night markets transform ordinary streets into food festivals every evening as temperatures cool and work schedules end. Malioboro Street in Yogyakarta fills with students, families, and tourists sharing plastic tables while sampling dozens of different preparations. The social aspect of eating often matters more than the food itself. Sharing meals builds relationships that create opportunities extending far beyond dining experiences. However, food safety requires careful attention for newcomers adjusting to different preparation standards and ingredient varieties. Choosing busy vendors with high turnover ensures freshness, while avoiding ice and raw vegetables prevents most stomach problems during adjustment periods. Building tolerance gradually rather than immediately consuming the spiciest available options prevents digestive disasters that can derail budget plans through medical expenses. Romantic relationships in Indonesia present unique opportunities and challenges that directly impact both financial and social aspects of expatriate life. Indonesian society maintains relatively conservative values, particularly outside major urban centers and Bali's tourist areas. Understanding these cultural expectations prevents expensive mistakes while opening doors to authentic relationships impossible for culturally insensitive foreigners. Dating applications like Tinder, Bumble, and local platforms exist and function actively, but social expectations around relationships run much deeper than casual Western dating culture. Indonesian women generally prioritize family approval, educational compatibility, and long-term financial stability over short-term romantic excitement or physical attraction alone. The persistent stereotype portraying easy relationships between Western men and Indonesian women represents a dangerous oversimplification, perpetuated by tourists who confuse professional service industry politeness with genuine romantic interest. Successful long-term relationships require cultural understanding, language learning abilities, and sincere respect for local customs rather than economic advantage or foreign passport status. Mixed marriages between foreigners and Indonesian citizens are becoming increasingly common, particularly in urban areas and tourist regions. But they require navigating complex bureaucratic requirements, religious considerations, and family approval processes that can take months or years to complete properly. Understanding these requirements beforehand prevents costly legal mistakes and relationship disappointments. Beauty standards in Indonesia emphasize characteristics that might surprise Western men accustomed to different aesthetic preferences. Fair skin, long hair, and modest dress styles generally receive more positive attention than Western-influenced fashion choices. The cosmetics industry thrives on skin-whitening products, while hijab fashion has evolved into a billion-dollar industry creating employment and business opportunities. Social interactions follow unwritten cultural rules that can confuse newcomers expecting Western-style dating dynamics. Public displays of affection remain inappropriate in most areas, while family approval carries enormous weight in relationship decisions that might seem purely personal to Western perspectives. The concept of saving face affects everything from casual dating conversations to formal marriage proposals. Religious considerations cannot be ignored in relationship planning. Indonesia's Muslim majority creates expectations around interfaith marriages, potential religious conversion, and children's religious upbringing that require serious consideration and discussion. Even non-practicing Muslims often face family pressure to maintain religious traditions and community connections. Women's independence and social freedom vary dramatically depending on regional culture, family background, and educational level. Jakarta professionals might live independently and date freely, while women in conservative rural areas require family permission for major life decisions, including career choices and marriage partners. Religious festivals and cultural celebrations dominate Indonesia's social calendar, creating spectacular community events that provide both entertainment value and networking opportunities for budget-conscious expatriates. Ramadan transforms the entire country during the 9th month of the Islamic calendar, with daylight hours becoming quieter and more subdued, while evenings explode into communal celebrations. Non-Muslim residents learn to respect fasting requirements during daylight hours while enjoying the communal spirit of breaking fast together each evening. Many restaurants close during day hours, but evening markets expand dramatically with special Ramadan foods and extended operating hours. Community organizations often provide free meals for anyone willing to participate respectfully in breaking fast ceremonies. Eid al-Fitr, known locally as Lebaran, triggers the world's largest annual human migration as millions of Indonesian workers travel from cities back to their home villages. Transportation prices triple during this period, but the festive atmosphere becomes absolutely electric with celebration. Extended families reunite, old debts are traditionally forgiven, and entire communities come together in ways that make Western holiday gatherings look modest by comparison. Bali's Nyepi, Day of Silence, creates one of the world's most unusual cultural experiences. For 24 hours, the entire island shuts down completely. No lights, no transportation, no commercial activity, no noise. Even the international airport closes completely. The contrast with Indonesia's typically chaotic energy makes this Hindu celebration both surreal and profoundly peaceful. Christian celebrations in predominantly Muslim areas demonstrate Indonesia's remarkable religious tolerance and diversity. Christmas markets in Jakarta rival European versions in scale and enthusiasm, while Easter services in eastern Indonesia draw thousands of pilgrims traveling between islands to participate in traditional ceremonies. Traditional cultural ceremonies continue alongside religious festivals throughout the year. Turajan funeral rites in South Sulawesi can last for multiple days, with entire communities participating in elaborate rituals that cost more than most families earn annually. Javanese royal ceremonies in Yogyakarta maintain protocols and traditions established centuries ago by ancient kingdoms. These cultural events provide insights into Indonesian values and social structures that no guidebook or academic study can properly convey. Participating respectfully in community celebrations builds relationships and cultural understanding, while providing entertainment that costs nothing but time and genuine interest. Festival seasons significantly affect monthly budgets in ways that catch unprepared expatriates off guard. During Lebaran, food prices increase substantially, and transportation becomes scarce and expensive. However, community celebrations often include free meals, entertainment, and cultural performances that more than compensate for increased basic costs. Now let's examine the hard financial mathematics that determine whether $500 monthly survival represents realistic budgeting or pure fantasy. Housing costs typically consume the largest portion of any budget, but Indonesian options range from $50 shared accommodations to luxury apartments costing thousands monthly. In Jakarta, finding decent one-bedroom apartments in safe neighborhoods with reliable utilities typically starts around $300 monthly, immediately consuming 60% of the entire budget. However, boarding house arrangements, locally called kos, offer private furnished rooms for $80 to $120 monthly, including utilities and basic furniture. These boarding house arrangements work particularly well for single expatriates willing to sacrifice space and privacy for significant cost savings. Most cost facilities include shared kitchen access, laundry facilities, and common areas for socializing with other residents. Many cater specifically to students and young professionals, creating built-in social networks for newcomers. Outside Jakarta's expensive metropolitan area, housing costs drop dramatically while quality often improves significantly. Yogyakarta offers furnished apartments in excellent neighborhoods for $150 monthly, while smaller cities like Solo, Malang, or Bandung provide comfortable living arrangements for under $100 monthly. Rural areas practically give away housing to foreigners willing to integrate into local communities, but employment opportunities disappear accordingly. Some villages offer free housing in exchange for English teaching or other community contributions, but these arrangements require long-term commitment and genuine cultural integration rather than temporary convenience. Bali presents unique challenges for budget-conscious expatriates due to tourism-driven inflation in popular areas. Canggu, Seminyak, and Ubud cater to digital nomads with substantial budgets, charging $400 to $600 for basic apartments that would cost half that price in similar Indonesian cities. However, authentic Balinese neighborhoods away from tourist concentrations offer genuine Indonesian living experiences for $100 to $200 monthly. These areas provide cultural immersion opportunities while maintaining reasonable costs, but they require transportation to reach tourist amenities and international restaurants. Food expenses depend entirely on dietary choices and cultural flexibility. Local warongs serve nutritionally complete meals for $1 to $2, making it theoretically possible to eat well for $60 monthly. Rice, vegetables, tofu, tempeh, and occasional meat or fish provide balanced nutrition at incredibly low costs. However, Western food preferences, imported ingredients, and restaurant dining in expatriate-oriented establishments quickly inflate food costs to unsustainable levels. A hamburger and beer at typical expat hangouts costs what Indonesian families spend on groceries for 3 or 4 days. Learning to appreciate Indonesian cuisine becomes both financial necessity and cultural opportunity for successful budget living. Traditional preparations often provide superior nutrition compared to processed Western alternatives while costing fraction of imported food prices. Transportation costs within cities remain remarkably affordable through proper use of local systems. Motorcycle taxis, ojek, charge 50 cents to $1 for short distances, while ride-sharing applications like Grab and Gojek offer predictable pricing for longer journeys. Monthly transportation budgets of $30 to $50 cover most urban mobility needs. However, inter-island travel expenses accumulate quickly and can consume entire monthly budgets unexpectedly. Flights between major Indonesian cities cost $50 to $100, while ferry journeys take much longer but cost significantly less. Planning transportation carefully prevents budget disasters while enabling exploration of Indonesia's incredible geographic diversity. Healthcare quality and costs vary wildly across Indonesia, affecting budget calculations in potentially catastrophic ways. Public health facilities provide basic care very cheaply, while international standard private hospitals charge Western prices for identical treatments. Health insurance becomes absolutely essential for serious medical needs, typically adding $50 to $100 to monthly expenses. The alcohol taxation factor requires special mention for expatriates accustomed to affordable drinking. Indonesia heavily taxes alcoholic beverages, making bintang beer cost $2 to $3 in most establishments. Wine and imported spirits become luxury items priced beyond most budgets. Expatriates who drink regularly must budget accordingly or learn to appreciate local alternatives. Hidden costs accumulate rapidly for unprepared newcomers to Indonesian living. Visa runs require periodic exits and re-entries costing $100 to $200 each time. Imported consumer goods carry massive markups. Western toothpaste costs triple the price of local equivalents. Air conditioning electricity bills can exceed monthly rent costs in tropical climates. However, creative and culturally sensitive expatriates discover numerous ways to stretch budgets dramatically beyond pure mathematical calculations. House-sitting arrangements eliminate rent costs entirely while providing pet companionship and security services. Teaching English privately generates supplemental income while building valuable local relationships. Freelance work in digital marketing, translation, writing, or consulting can supplement budgets substantially without requiring formal work permits, though legal gray areas require careful navigation. Many expatriates develop multiple small income streams rather than depending on single employment sources. The fundamental key to successful $500 monthly survival lies in adopting Indonesian lifestyle patterns rather than attempting to maintain Western consumption habits in a Southeast Asian setting. This means shopping at traditional markets instead of air-conditioned supermarkets, eating where locals eat rather than tourist restaurants, using public transportation and motorcycles instead of private cars, and learning Indonesian language to avoid automatic tourist pricing. Most importantly, successful budget living requires building authentic relationships that create opportunities extending far beyond pure monetary transactions. Indonesians who respect and trust foreign residents often provide assistance, opportunities, and support that no amount of money can purchase directly. Transportation systems in Indonesia require understanding networks that blend modern efficiency with traditional chaos across thousands of islands, populated by hundreds of millions of people spread across distances exceeding the continental United States. Domestic aviation has revolutionized Indonesian travel over the past 15 years as budget airlines like Lion Air, CityLink, and AirAsia offer flights between major cities for $30 to $80. This pricing makes island hopping accessible to Indonesian middle-class families and budget-conscious travelers, though flight delays remain common and safety records vary between carriers. However, baggage restrictions often surprise unprepared passengers accustomed to more generous Western airline policies. Overweight fees accumulate quickly, making careful packing essential for budget travelers moving between islands frequently. Ferry systems connect most inhabited islands through networks ranging from modern air-conditioned vessels to basic cargo ships that carry passengers as secondary cargo. The National Pelni ferry service operates large ships carrying passengers, vehicles, and freight between major ports across the archipelago. Deck class tickets from Jakarta to Surabaya cost around $15 for 36-hour journeys that provide genuine cultural experiences impossible to find elsewhere. Families camp on deck areas, share meals with fellow passengers, and engage in endless card games while watching Indonesian coastlines pass slowly by. These ferry experiences offer authentic insights into Indonesian travel culture, but they require flexibility regarding schedules, comfort levels, and arrival times. Weather delays are common, facilities are basic, and personal space becomes a negotiable concept. Urban transportation options multiply rapidly in major cities. Jakarta's Transjakarta bus system provides air-conditioned comfort for 30 cents per journey, though crowding during rush hours tests patience and personal space tolerance. The newer MRT subway system offers faster travel but covers limited routes that serve primarily central business districts. Motorcycles dominate Indonesian streets, carrying everything from entire families to large appliances that would require trucks in other countries. Learning motorcycle operation opens tremendous mobility opportunities and cultural integration possibilities. Daily rental costs $3 to $5, though mastering Indonesian traffic patterns requires significant adjustment for Western newcomers accustomed to more predictable driving behaviors. Ride-sharing applications. Grab and Gojek have transformed urban transportation throughout Indonesia. These platforms offer motorcycle rides, car service, food delivery, package delivery, and even massage services through single smartphone applications. Pricing remains very affordable. 30-minute motorcycle rides across Jakarta typically cost $2 to $3. However, surge pricing during peak hours, bad weather, or special events can multiply costs unexpectedly. Understanding local traffic patterns and planning accordingly prevents budget surprises while maintaining transportation convenience. Traditional transportation methods persist alongside modern alternatives throughout Indonesia. Bicycle rickshaws called becak still operate in smaller cities, providing leisurely tours for tourists, and practical transportation for locals carrying groceries or small cargo. Horse-drawn carts, called dokar, continue working in rural Java, while motorized three-wheelers serve similar functions in urban areas. Inter-island connections challenge even experienced travelers with complex logistics that can change without advance notice. Schedules shift based on weather, mechanical problems, or passenger demand. Booking systems range from sophisticated online platforms to handwritten notebooks maintained by individual operators. Flexibility becomes absolutely essential for successful inter-island travel. Having backup plans for backup plans saves both sanity and money when original itineraries become impossible due to circumstances beyond anyone's control. The romantic appeal of island hopping often collides with practical realities of time and cost. Reaching remote destinations like the Banda Islands, Raja Ampat, or Alor requires multiple flights, boat transfers, and significant time investments that exceed many visitors' initial expectations and budget allocations. Road conditions vary dramatically across Indonesian islands. Java and Bali maintain excellent highway systems comparable to any developed country, while Sumatra's roads challenge vehicle suspension systems and driver patience equally. Some areas remain accessible only by motorcycle or on foot, limiting travel options for visitors carrying substantial luggage or equipment. Seasonal weather patterns affect transportation reliability in ways that can completely disrupt travel plans. The rainy season grounds small aircraft, cancels ferry services, and transforms dirt roads into impassable rivers of mud. Planning major trips around weather patterns prevents disappointment and unexpected expenses that can destroy monthly budgets. Indonesia's natural attractions extend far beyond Bali's heavily photographed rice terraces and beaches that dominate social media feeds. The archipelago harbors some of Earth's most spectacular and biodiverse landscapes, many remaining relatively unknown to international tourism due to access difficulties and limited infrastructure development. Komodo National Park protects the world's largest living lizards on rugged islands that maintain prehistoric atmospheres largely unchanged for millions of years. These ancient monitor lizards, weighing up to 200 pounds, hunt wild boar and deer using pack hunting strategies and venomous bites that can kill prey much larger than themselves. The surrounding marine environment contains some of the planet's richest underwater biodiversity. Manta ray cleaning stations attract dozens of these graceful giants simultaneously, while whale shark migrations bring the world's largest fish through park waters regularly. Coral reef systems support thousands of fish species in waters so clear that diving feels like flying through liquid crystal. Mount Bromo in East Java creates an otherworldly landscape of active volcanic craters, black sand seas, and sulfurous clouds that inspired countless artistic works. Sunrise viewing from crater rim positions reveals panoramic vistas that change colors dramatically as light conditions shift throughout early morning hours. The active volcano continues producing smoke and occasional eruptions dramatic enough to close nearby airports and cover surrounding areas in volcanic ash. Local communities monitor volcanic activity constantly while maintaining normal agricultural and commercial activities in surrounding fertile areas. Borobudur Temple in central Java represents one of humanity's greatest architectural and spiritual achievements. This 9th-century Buddhist monument contains over 2,600 individual relief panels and 500 Buddha statues arranged in precise mandala patterns representing Buddhist cosmological understanding. Sunrise visits reveal the massive stone structure emerging from morning mist, like a spiritual vision materialized from meditation practices. The engineering required to construct such precise stonework without modern machinery continues amazing contemporary architects and archaeologists studying construction techniques. Raja Ampat in West Papua hosts the planet's most biodiverse marine ecosystem according to multiple scientific surveys. These Four Kings Islands sit at the confluence of Pacific and Indian Ocean currents, creating underwater highways for migrating marine species from across the Indo-Pacific region. Marine biologists have documented over 1 to 1,500 fish species and 550 hard coral species in Raja Ampat waters, more diversity than anywhere else on Earth. The remoteness that protects this biodiversity also makes access expensive and logistically challenging for budget travelers. Lake Toba in North Sumatra fills a massive volcanic caldera created by a supervolcanic eruption 75,000 years ago that nearly caused human extinction. Today, the lake contains water volume exceeding many small countries, while Samosir Island sits in the center, home to Batak people who maintain traditional architecture and cultural practices. The cool highland climate provides relief from tropical heat, while offering insights into non-Javanese Indonesian cultures that developed independently from mainstream Indonesian civilization. Traditional Batak houses, music, and customs differ dramatically from Javanese or Balinese cultures most visitors experience. However, Indonesia's tourism infrastructure development remains extremely uneven across the archipelago. Popular destinations like Bali, Lombok, and parts of Java offer world-class facilities and services comparable to any international resort destination. Remote areas provide basic accommodations with limited dining options and minimal English language support. This infrastructure disparity creates opportunities for adventurous travelers seeking authentic experiences away from crowded tourist circuits. However, it also requires greater cultural flexibility and problem-solving abilities than mainstream tourism typically demands. Ecotourism initiatives continue growing throughout Indonesia as conservation needs intersect with community economic development requirements. Orangutan rehabilitation centers in Borneo combine wildlife protection efforts with visitor education programs while providing employment for local communities previously dependent on environmentally destructive industries. Marine conservation projects in eastern Indonesia train local fishermen as dive guides and boat operators while establishing protected reef areas that benefit both marine ecosystems and sustainable tourism development. These programs often provide more authentic cultural experiences than traditional tourism while supporting conservation goals. Living in Indonesia requires accepting certain risks and inconveniences that challenge Western expectations regarding safety, comfort, and predictability. The archipelago sits directly on the Pacific Ring of Fire, making earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, and tsunamis constant possibilities rather than remote theoretical threats. Earthquakes occur regularly throughout Indonesia, ranging from barely noticeable tremors to catastrophic disasters that destroy entire cities and kill thousands of people. Building quality and construction standards vary dramatically between areas, making some locations much safer than others during seismic events. Most long-term Indonesian residents develop philosophical attitudes toward earthquake risks, accepting natural disasters as unavoidable aspects of life in geologically active areas. Emergency preparedness becomes routine rather than paranoid, with earthquake kits and evacuation plans considered normal household equipment. Volcanic activity affects daily life in multiple Indonesian regions. Mount Merapi near Yogyakarta erupts regularly, covering the city in volcanic ash while simultaneously enriching surrounding agricultural soils that support intensive farming. Residents monitor volcano alert levels and evacuation procedures while continuing normal business and social activities. The geological instability that creates earthquake and volcanic risks also produces the fertile soils that support Indonesia's agricultural productivity. Many residents consider volcanic risks acceptable trade-offs for the economic benefits of living in agriculturally rich areas. Petty crime affects tourists and expatriates more frequently than violent crime, which remains relatively rare throughout most Indonesian areas. Motorcycle-based bag snatching, pickpocketing in crowded areas, and phone theft occur regularly in urban environments, but violent robbery and assault remain uncommon. Basic security precautions prevent most petty crime problems. Avoiding flashy displays of wealth, maintaining situational awareness in crowded areas, and securing valuable items eliminate most theft opportunities while allowing normal social and commercial activities. Corruption remains embedded in many official interactions, from police traffic stops to government permit applications. Understanding when and how much payment smooths bureaucratic processes, though ethical concerns complicate these situations for many Western expatriates who prefer transparent legal systems. Reform efforts continue throughout Indonesian government and society, but progress occurs slowly against entrenched systems that have operated for decades. Expatriates must navigate these realities while maintaining personal ethical standards and legal compliance. Healthcare quality varies dramatically between urban centers and rural areas, creating potential medical emergencies that can destroy budgets and threaten health simultaneously. Jakarta's international hospitals provide medical care matching Western standards with English-speaking medical staff and modern equipment. Rural health clinics may lack basic medications, trained personnel, and diagnostic equipment necessary for treating serious conditions. Medical evacuation to urban facilities becomes necessary for major health problems, creating enormous unexpected expenses for uninsured patients. Tropical disease risks require ongoing prevention efforts and medical awareness. Dengue fever, transmitted by day-biting Aedes mosquitoes, affects thousands of Indonesians annually and can cause life-threatening complications. Malaria remains present in eastern Indonesian regions, while typhoid and hepatitis require vaccination precautions for most visitors. Food and water hygiene practices prevent most gastrointestinal problems that affect newcomers adjusting to different bacterial environments and food preparation standards. Building tolerance gradually while maintaining basic sanitation prevents most digestive problems that can disrupt work and travel plans. Traffic accidents represent the most significant daily safety risk for most Indonesian residents and visitors. Indonesia's traffic fatality rates exceed global averages significantly, with motorcycles involved in the majority of serious accidents. Defensive driving skills, proper safety equipment, and conservative risk assessment reduce accident probabilities substantially. Natural disaster preparedness requires understanding local warning systems, evacuation procedures, and community response protocols. Coastal areas face tsunami risks following major earthquakes, while flood-prone regions need seasonal preparation for monsoon inundation. Community cooperation during emergencies often proves more effective than individual disaster planning. Indonesian communities maintain strong social networks that provide mutual assistance during crisis situations. But foreigners must invest time building relationships before emergencies occur. Successfully establishing legal residence in Indonesia requires navigating complex and frequently changing visa regulations, each category carrying specific requirements, limitations, and renewal procedures that can trap unwary applicants in expensive legal complications. Tourist visas provide 30-day stays with single 30-day extensions available for additional fees. These arrangements work adequately for short-term visitors but create ongoing expenses and legal risks for longer-term residents attempting to maintain legal status through repeated visa runs. Visa on arrival permits cost $35 and serve most short-term business or tourism purposes adequately. However, frequent use raises immigration officer suspicions about actual residents' intentions, potentially resulting in entry denials or questioning about income sources and accommodation arrangements. The B211A Visit Visa provides 60-day initial stays with 4 possible 30-day extensions, creating maximum 6-month legal presence per visa cycle. This option suits digital nomads and extended tourists willing to manage regular bureaucratic requirements, but extension costs and immigration office visits consume both time and money regularly. Social visas require Indonesian sponsors who accept legal responsibility for foreign visitors during their stay periods. These arrangements work well for people maintaining genuine local relationships, but create legal obligations for sponsors that many Indonesians prefer avoiding due to potential complications. Retirement visas target visitors over 55 years old with demonstrated financial resources and comprehensive health insurance coverage. Requirements include monthly income documentation, health certificates, and substantial bank deposits that must be maintained throughout visa validity periods. Work permits known as ITAS allow legal employment but require employer sponsorship before visa applications can be submitted. Companies must demonstrate that qualified Indonesians cannot fill proposed positions, making these permits challenging to obtain for most foreign job seekers. Investment visas require substantial financial commitments typically exceeding $350,000 in approved Indonesian business ventures. These programs aim to attract serious investors rather than budget travelers seeking residency shortcuts through minimal business registration. Marriage to Indonesian citizens provides pathways toward permanent residence, but the legal process involves extensive documentation, multiple interviews, and waiting periods that can extend for months or years. Mixed marriages must satisfy both Indonesian and foreign government requirements simultaneously. Visa runs involving periodic exits and re-entries to reset tourist visa periods remain popular, but carry increasing risks as immigration policies tighten. Officials scrutinize frequent visitors more carefully and may refuse entry or impose bans on people perceived as working illegally or overstaying welcome. Overstaying visa periods results in substantial daily fines and potential deportation procedures that can ban future entries permanently. Penalties accumulate rapidly, making legal compliance essential for anyone planning extended Indonesian residence. Cultural taboos affect legal compliance beyond immigration law requirements. Public drunkenness, inappropriate dress codes, and disrespectful behavior toward religious practices can result in arrest, fines, and deportation regardless of visa status validity. After examining every aspect of Indonesian living from cultural immersion to financial mathematics, from bureaucratic navigation to safety considerations, we arrive at the ultimate question that brought us together. Can you realistically survive and thrive in Indonesia on just $500 monthly? The answer isn't a simple yes or no. It's a complex equation involving personal flexibility, cultural adaptation, geographic choices, and lifestyle expectations that varies dramatically between individuals and circumstances. Yes, $500 monthly survival is absolutely possible in Indonesia, but it requires abandoning nearly every Western comfort expectation and embracing Indonesian life completely. This means eating exclusively local cuisine, living in neighborhoods where no English is spoken, using only local transportation methods, and building your social life around free community activities rather than commercial entertainment. The mathematical breakdown reveals the harsh realities. Housing consumes $80 to $150 in local areas. Food requires $60 to $100 for Indonesian cuisine exclusively. Transportation adds $30 to $50 monthly, and miscellaneous expenses quickly consume remaining amounts. There's zero room for imported goods, Western restaurants, tourist activities, or emergency reserves. However, this mathematical analysis misses the profound cultural richness that money cannot quantify. Living on $500 monthly forces authentic cultural immersion that wealthy expatriates often miss entirely. You'll master Indonesian language because survival depends on communication skills, not because cultural education seems interesting. You'll understand religious festivals because they affect your daily routine, transportation, and food availability. The geographic diversity across 17,000 islands means your budget stretches differently everywhere. Jakarta demands extreme compromises and creative solutions, while rural Java offers comfortable living with limited modern conveniences. Bali's tourist areas remain largely inaccessible on this budget, but traditional Balinese communities welcome respectful foreigners enthusiastically. Eastern Indonesian destinations provide adventure and natural beauty at affordable prices, assuming you can handle limited infrastructure, unreliable internet connectivity, and basic medical facilities. These areas offer experiences that transform perspectives on what constitutes necessary versus luxury consumption. Indonesian bureaucracy will test every patience and problem-solving skill you possess. Visa runs become regular budget line items, work permits require employer sponsorship and government cooperation, and legal residence demands significant time investments in relationship building and paperwork navigation. Creative solutions exist for determined individuals willing to navigate complex regulations while building authentic community relationships. Teaching English privately, house-sitting arrangements, and small-scale freelance work can supplement budgets substantially, though legal gray areas require careful attention. The safety equation balances natural disaster acceptance against remarkably low violent crime rates compared to many Western cities. You'll learn earthquake response procedures, monitor volcanic activity levels, and accept that tsunamis represent real possibilities rather than theoretical concerns. However, you'll also experience the security that comes from living within communities where neighbors genuinely care for each other, is welfare, and social cohesion prevents most urban violence that plagues other countries. Healthcare represents perhaps the biggest wild card in budget planning calculations. Basic medical care remains affordable through public facilities, but serious emergencies can instantly destroy entire annual budgets. Health insurance becomes absolutely essential, though comprehensive coverage options for budget-conscious expatriates remain limited and expensive. Cultural learning curves extend far beyond language acquisition into complex social hierarchies, religious sensitivities, and family obligation systems that affect every aspect of daily life. Indonesian society rewards patience, humility, and community participation, while punishing arrogance, cultural insensitivity, and excessive individualism. Success depends more on emotional intelligence and cultural adaptation abilities than financial resources or technical skills. Foreigners who learn to navigate Indonesian social expectations find incredible warmth, support, and opportunities that money alone cannot purchase anywhere. The romantic relationship landscape adds complexity layers that directly impact both social integration and financial planning. Indonesian dating culture emphasizes family approval, religious compatibility, and long-term commitment over casual relationships or physical attraction primarily. Foreign men who understand these cultural expectations and show genuine respect for local values find meaningful connections and community integration. Those expecting easy conquest or purely transactional relationships face disappointment and potential legal complications. Food culture provides both tremendous budget opportunities and health challenges that require careful navigation. Indonesian cuisine offers incredible variety and nutrition at minimal costs, but adjustment periods can include digestive problems that affect work performance and medical expenses. Transportation costs remain manageable through motorcycle use and local public systems, but inter-island travel can consume entire monthly budgets quickly without careful planning and flexible scheduling around weather and mechanical delays. Environmental realities include air pollution in major cities, inadequate waste management systems, and climate challenges that affect daily comfort and health. However, access to some of Earth's most spectacular natural beauty, from pristine coral reefs to active volcanoes, provides compensation that no urban environment can match. Religious diversity creates both opportunities and restrictions depending on location and personal beliefs. Understanding Islamic practices, Hindu ceremonies, and Christian traditions enables deeper cultural participation while avoiding accidental offense that can damage community relationships. So, can you really live in Indonesia on $500 monthly? The question isn't whether the money covers basic survival needs, but whether you're prepared for complete lifestyle transformation that success requires. If living means maintaining Western comfort standards, eating familiar foods, and enjoying climate-controlled isolation from local culture, then absolutely not. $500 won't suffice for maintaining imported lifestyle expectations. However, if living means embracing one of the world's most diverse and fascinating cultures, learning new languages and customs, building authentic cross-cultural relationships, and accepting challenges as personal growth opportunities, then yes, $500 opens doors to experiences that wealthy tourists never access. The real question isn't financial capability, but psychological preparation. Can you handle uncertainty, bureaucratic delays, and cultural misunderstandings without losing patience or cultural respect? Do you genuinely enjoy learning new ways of living? Or do you expect accommodation to your existing preferences? Are you prepared to build relationships slowly based on mutual respect rather than economic advantage? Can you accept that money alone cannot solve every problem, and that community relationships often matter more than individual wealth accumulation? Indonesia offers profound rewards for people willing to meet this incredible country on its own terms, rather than demanding accommodation to foreign expectations. The warmth of Indonesian hospitality, the depth of ancient cultural traditions, and the stunning natural beauty create life experiences that no amount of money can purchase elsewhere. However, these rewards come through genuine participation and cultural integration rather than observation and consumption, through learning rather than judgment, through patience rather than demand, through humility rather than assumption of superiority. If you're considering the $500 Indonesian challenge, begin with brutally honest self-assessment. Examine your motivations, expectations, and psychological flexibility regarding uncertainty, discomfort, and cultural difference. Indonesia will test every assumption you hold about how life should function while offering perspectives that can fundamentally transform your understanding of what creates meaningful existence. $500 monthly provides the entry fee to this transformative experience, but success depends entirely on what you contribute beyond money: curiosity, respect, patience, and genuine desire to understand rather than to judge. The archipelago awaits your decision, but remember that Indonesia does not just challenge your budget, it challenges everything you thought you knew about what makes life worthwhile. The question isn't whether you can afford to live here, but whether you can afford to miss one of the world's most profound opportunities for personal growth and cultural understanding.